jumble sentence, but it's only 4 sentences. I am not getting this, please explain. Okay. A. Perhaps the best known is the Bay Area writing project. The decline in writing skills can be stopped. Today's back to basics movement has already forced some schools to place renewed emphasis on the 3 rupees. Although the inability of some teachers to teach writing successfully remains a big stumbling block, a number of programs have been developed to attack this problem. Okay, so let's quickly look at it. Everything, at least the repetitive word that I see, right? Writing, writing, writing. This is a repeat word. So I understand the passage is about these writing skills. So let's look at connecting sentences, right? That will be better to go about it. So if I say, D says a number of programs have been developed to attack this problem. Perhaps the best known is the Bay Area Writing Project. So in terms of number of programs and this being an example, I would say DNA is one link for sure. Okay, so I'm going to go with, out of these 4 sentences, the one that brings out the problem is B. There is a decline in writing skills. So one of the solutions to that is this. Today's back-to-back basics has already forced some schools to place some emphasis on the 3 rupees, whatever. So I think C brings in, so this is the problem. Writing skills are getting hit. C is giving you like, okay, emphasis on what to do or how to go about doing it, right? D says, even though this is a problem, they're giving a solution. And A is the example of that solution. I think the sequence should be B, C, D, A. That's what I feel. Yeah, I'm not following this on the 3 rupees actually. Doesn't make sense. I don't know if it's a typo or if somebody can look it up. I am only going with has already forced some schools to place renewed emphasis on. Either it has to do with something related to writing skills or some sort of a context. I'll tell you why I am putting C after B, because B is highlighting the problem, okay, and it's saying it can be stopped. There is a possibility, right? Can always brings in the possibility. And then C kind of, it's in the present perfect tense, has already forced some schools. So steps have already started to put a stop to this decline in writing skills. So that's one of the reasons why I'm putting C after B. Highlight the whole on the 3 rupees because that's a little weird for me. But I'm going in terms of, I'm looking at, modals. I'm paying attention to verbs as well, the tense in it. D is giving us some sort of a solution. And one of the programs that can be looked at is explained in A. Perhaps, maybe the best known out of the number of programs that we can incorporate is Bay Area Writing Project, which was founded by so-and-so in whatever year. So B, C, D, A. That's what I feel is the answer. So obviously, as you see, it is jumble sentences, A, B, C, D, E. I'm not getting context of this para jumble, ma'am. Please help. Okay. Let's look at it. Put simply, so it's almost like maybe there are verses preceding that because this is more like, explaining in simpler manner. So which means there's something complicated which had to precede this A, right? So A can't be our first sentence at all. In fact, I would say it's the last sentence just because of looking at this phrase, put simply, which means, okay, let me just break it down for you. Let me just make it simpler for you to understand. Yeah? To begin with, maybe our topic sentence, we don't know yet. Let's look for repeat words. Philosophers, I see philosophers here, it's somewhere I saw, philosophers. Look for repeat words because I want to understand the context with philosophy, philosophers, all closely, just word class difference. Have something called cosmetor and I have cosmoi, okay, cosmos, okay. In the whole context, I can quickly, immediately relate to Homer and Iliad, of course, right? In fact, Iliad is a Greek poem which Homer wrote. And he wrote in context of, has anybody seen, I'm sure you guys have seen Troy, right? The movie where Brad Pitt acts as Achilles, right? So I think, where I'm coming from is that's the only thing that I can relate to. So this was set in the Trojan War when he wrote this poem. It basically describes, the battles between Agamemnon, the guy whose wife was stolen, right? King Agamemnon and the warrior Achilles. So that's the only thing that I can relate to, but let's try and understand the context. So this Greek poem which was written by Homer in this age, but if you look at the context, basically it's talking more of, there's a lot of political and social and aspects here in the context. Annually elected magistrates, constitutional forms, right? Just to give you a context to the passage. Cosmos, again repeated. Anyway, now let's look at this. I think cosmos was the pertinent term that these guys adopted, the philosophers adopted. So, and this was the term that they coined for the natural world, an intelligible and ordered whole. I mean, if you look at the context, they have configured this term to describe the natural world. So now that we have a fair idea, let's look at it. It seems for me, see all of this, C, D, E is all giving information. So I would start with being our topic sentence. I would say to begin with, there is a question of philosophy's origins within the first self-governing civic qualities known to man. So that sets the context, because if you look at everything else, it's making some sort of a reference to philosophy and whatever. So unlike people coming back and saying C, I would start with B, just following with this phrase to begin with. So to answer this question of philosophy's origins, right? What is answering that question? C says annually elected magistrates of Crete that appears to have pioneered constitutional forms were called cosmoi. The army described in the catalogue of ships in the second book of Homer was arranged in its appropriate ranks by a cosmeter. I think there's a link between E and C and D as well. D says it is revealing that the cosmos and its cognates were used in the political realm well before they were appropriated by the philosophers. Okay, so it seems like it is revealing, so answering the question, BD, right? I'm just looking at links. I think E and C can be a link. See, cosmeter again is a person, right? It's a noun. So who is this cosmeter referring to? Makes sense to link it to C. The annually elected magistrates of the city of Crete that appears to have pioneered constitutional forms were called cosmoi. So I feel like E and C can be another link. And what are we left with? A. Put that at the end. Summarizing, to put it simply, the ancient Greek city was configured as a cosmos before the philosophers adopted the pertinent term and used it to assert that the natural world is likewise an intelligible and ordered whole. In fact, in all of the sentences, the only sentence that made sense to me is A. As in, it was simpler for me to understand. So I'm not too sure if this is the sequence, right? I've just gone with phrases, to begin with, given the context, revealing, answering the question, and then E and C seems like a connect simply because of expansion or explaining what these ranks are all about. And I've just taken and put A at the end, saying, okay, let me simplify this. To put it simply, this is what it is. B, D, C, E, A. You're saying, the annually elected magistrates of the city of Crete that appears to have pioneered constitutional forms were called cosmoi. The army described in the catalogues of ships in the second book of Homer's Iliad was arranged in its appropriate ranks by a cosmeter. I'm just looking at the arrangement. The army described, I wouldn't put D before C simply because of the phrase it is revealing. No, I understand. I'm just trying to figure out. See, I'll tell you my connect, because I have a feeling it's more expanding on cosmeter. Was arranged in its appropriate rank by a cosmeter, and who is this cosmeter? The annually elected magistrates of the city of Crete. And they have pioneered constitutional forms, calling them cosmoi. So I think that's the reason why I put EC as a connect and not CE, not the other way around. For questions like this, for question patterns, this jumble sentence, yes, but it's slightly complicated, right? So for questions like this, ideally, even if you can't get all 5 marks, try and grab at least 1 or 2 marks. Getting A and first sentence and last sentence correct. The remaining sentences, you might have to skip it, not taking the risk of getting negatively marked.